Hello, YouTube. My name is Daith, and today I kind of got a bug in my ear about the old Prime Wars combiner teams. With Generations, the studio series, and the Age of the Primes both bringing on like new versions of the combiner teams again. I kind of want to go back and like go to here about a decade ago when like they were just doing the same thing on a full line with Combiner Wars and Power of the Primes. So back here about nearly probably is a decade ago at this point, but so with Combiner Wars, they for a long time they pretty much told us combiners were off the table for a long while. And then finally it seemed like I can't remember if it was like a brand new team of designers came in, or they just finally got it in their heads that they could actually try and do this, and they ended up starting up the combiner teams with a full line of just combiners everywhere for the most part. So let's get into it here, and I'll show off my first example here. Superion from the line. Let me get back a little further here. So with him, I mean, within like the first two waves, we had gotten like all at least the five members of the five main members of the team, kind of. So you'll notice, Superion normally is made up of five jets. Yeah, what's this? So in order to kind of not make it kind of like all jets everywhere in the toy aisles, they decided they were going to mix it up a bit. So and a lot of the teams in Combiner Wars got one like brand new or redone character that wasn't quite what the originals were. So in here we got Alpha Bravo, the helicopter. And the one thing I will say about Combiner Wars is like the line is notorious for reusing or retooling the same mold over and over and over. You'll see it here in this video because I got a lot of these guys. I went a little bit almost completist on this line. So almost. There's a few I missed. But anyways, so the fun part is, eventually, yeah, you did get a little mix up, but I'll go ahead and show that, we can pop off the leg right there. Give me a second here. And I'll take off. So fun part was like in order to get the hands and feet, they all gave them these little hand foot guns here. See if you can so this is pretty much, in foot mode. And then you see inside there's a little finger hand that can flip out, and the back heel here is actually the thumb here. So anyways, let's get that back on, and now we got all jets again with the classic, with the classic Superion. I really need to do framing well better there. But anyways, so a lot of times, they wouldn't give us all the original combiners and like their original forms right off the bat. Like I said, there was always like one new member that would be changing it up a little bit. Let me go ahead and grab another example here. Oh, before I do though, since I got it right in front of me here, another fun thing was a lot of them, they would add in another new team member in the Legends scale to add on to it. Sometimes, in this case, with the aerial bots, they made a Legends class Power Glide, which is usually one. Power Glide is usually the like the red like plane that kind of a small was one of the small dinky bots back in the day. And here they turned it in. They had included a third mode with them, as a kind of a gun weapon. So here we'll try and get him on here. And there he is. You know, something for, Superion to use and, pew pew. Okay, let's go on here. So I'm gonna admit right now, in the middle of this video, the Decepticons are all up on my shelves and, a little harder to get to without, getting everything. So I went downstairs and grabbed most of my Autobot combiners, which I'd taken down like a year or two ago when like the Kingdom Beast Warriors started coming out. So anyways, let's see. Who should I go on next year? Because it's kind of interesting how the line evolves over time. So, might as well go with one of the other classic dudes here, and we'll go with Defensor, the Protectobots combined mode. And if I can get them all in the shot here. So from the top here, it's a little weird on the chest because that's Groove right there on the chest. So admittedly, it's a little weird to have a combiner where like one of the combiner pieces is a motorcycle and the rest are like larger vehicles. Granted, like scale isn't quite a thing with, an ambulance and a, rescue helicopter being on the arms here either. But I mean, but anyways, for Defensor, they added in Rook, a new SWAT vehicle dude. And honestly, probably one of the best new characters they designed in this line. It was he's a kind of fun, I'm not gonna, be taking him apart in this, but I mean, the fun part is like Rook had like, instead of like normal hands, he had like plugins on the end of his fists. And with the Combiner Wars, like combiner hand foot gun things, he could go and Hulk hand those in his normal robot mode. It was kind of fun that way. So, anyways, but like I said before, they eventually, they would, change things up and like let me go ahead and pull. So here's Groove's little Legends class figure in his little chest armor mode. But later on, we did get an actual full-size combiner piece mode too. So again, so let me actually get a better shot of me pulling this off so you can see the combiner. So each of these combiners have like a mushroom peg that they all like have. The Voyager scale figures in the middle have ports to that you can just slide them in there. So again, well, since I don't have any extra hand feet or whatever going on here, let me lay down Defensor for a second so I can actually pull this off here. Okay. Okay. So let me get the combiner groove in shot. And then there's a little hole there that the hand foot, well, in this case, the foot will go on, thus creating a nice little limb mode for him. Now, for me, I always keep like all the weaponry on him, so it might look a little wonky at times, a little extra. So we'll go ahead and snap him back on. And here we have a fully classic Defensor. Framing is not a good thing for me. Okay. Now, the fun part was it wasn't just the classics that they were doing. in order to fill out a full wave back in the day, they had to, instead of like, maybe like 4 waves, they had like 6 or 7 waves, per year. So there's a bit more. I mean, they could have gone a little bit more, but in order to like keep it easier for them and like just kind of, like I said, notorious for remold use, they kind of just went ham with some of these and remolded them just slightly a tad. How about I actually show you one of the remolds of, so Superion's, one of Superion's remolds was a version of Cyclonus. Well, I mean, okay, Silverbolt would be the remold. So Silverbolt's the, middle Voyager of Superion. So Cyclonus was remolded into him, and then his combiner mode was Galvatronus. So they had him turned into like a combiner Galvatron here. So don't have any limbs on him right now, but I mean, they didn't necessarily not all of the Voyagers had a designated team of deluxes to plug onto them, sadly. So Galvatronus was just designated, plug whatever random dudes you have on there to make them up. And while it's like, feels wrong to plug on Autobots here, it's like, you know, you could do so. You could, I don't have any, like I said, I don't have any of the Decepticons really down here, so it's like, except for maybe a couple over here, but we'll get to that later. So, anyways, let's see here. So, well, like I said, they weren't shy to bring on like new combiners. So, one of the fun characters and like a fun character that we hadn't seen in like ages before this line, we got a Skylinks Voyager to be a combiner with, you know, a random group of Autobots. There was a designated team for him, but right now I'm missing one up in the shelves here, so I'm going to show you most of it combined. So we got his combiner mode, Skyrain. So there, as far as Skylinks, he usually had like the like space shuttle and the like landing pad thing that, each had like its own like animalistic mode. So the Voyager here, in order to, semi do that, the normal robot mode is Skylinks' like, dragon bird form, while the combiner took his Lynx form to, add it in for the, Skyrain head. So, and then his group was like Trailbreaker, Wheeljack, Hound, and I have Jazz, but it was supposed to be Smokescreen, and I lost the foot on this guy, it looks like. Okay. And the fun part is, when they came out, each of these figures came with an IDW comic that they were doing to like promote the line. So it was, each comic was, they weren't always featuring the character they were promoting, sadly, but they were pretty much, getting every character in there for the most part. There was some differences between teams too, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head like what differences were. So let's see here. I'm going to show you an slightly armless one because I forgot to plug in. I was thinking about getting Jazz on here earlier, but let's see. Yeah, well, I'm already screwing this video up as is. So you can't do a line without Optimus Prime. And Optimus even got his own combiner mode. This one was, so this one was Ultra Prime. And I really don't. There was another white repaint that was more of the canon one, I guess. Which why would if I'm doing white, it's Ultra Magnus anyways. That's the way I see it. But Optimus Maximus was the name for that set. Again, Op- the Optimus had like a set of designated limbs, though like this version, I guess, according to the wiki, wasn't didn't have a normal set yet. The other white one had like the guys I got plugged on here. Plus, I'm missing Mirage over here. I don't know where he is. I tried getting all the ones earlier, and I obviously missed him. Okay, so so we had classic characters that never were combiners getting combined pieces, and the one big thing that we had like a little bit as the line was starting or so, they did a fan vote for, a build a combiner of our own. So the fans got to choose how this combiner, came about. So let me introduce Victorion. So you'll, if you notice, some of these are looking a little familiar mold wise. So the base Voyager is the hotspot from the Protectobots, from Defensor there. Different head got remolded in, but we got a redone groove for their chest. We got two Alpha Bravos on the arm, and they did two different car modes, but I mean, it's still like two of the ones from the line already. But they all got, unique head tooling. The helicopter's only difference is really in the heads and like which side like some of the markings are on. So, but so Victorion there. And one of the interesting parts with her is we did get to vote on gender, colors, I believe planet of origin, maybe? Not sure. But and like, I believe I don't remember if they gave us the choice of like what type of vehicles or not, but that might have been the case. So anyways, so they basically made this whole brand new combiner for the Combiner Wars storyline in the comics too. So their whole thing was they were from the planet yeah, Cybertronian colony planet of Caminus, and they basically were the what they called the torchbearers. It's kind of like a religious archaeologist group in a way, and they had like reverence for the Prime. So once Optimus came in and like showed himself, it was like all about serving the Prime for until they realized that he's not always the best, especially in IDW. But anyways, and I didn't really get to show it off so much there besides their gigantic sword weapon. But since that Victorion came in a complete set box, which a lot of the combiners ended up getting like their G2 color schemes in these set boxes. And there was other like let's see, two others I can remember in the Combiner Wars that were set box only, and that was Computron, the Technobots combiner, and funnily enough, Leo Kaiser, the current HasLab we got going on here. So, anyways, say that way too much. Actually, let me transition scene here. So, let me go here and I'll show you, go down on the wiki. Oh, So one thing I missed out on here, this guy, Viper. So a little retool and repaint of the Power Glide that I showed off with Superion earlier. He was supposed to go to Menasor, I believe. But if you can see, they made him basically based off of a Cobra Rattler from G.I. Joe. So he's got like a nice Cobra emblem with the Decepticon emblem right there too. So awesome pull there. I was so sad I missed that one. Okay, so let's find while I'm right here and I don't have them handy, but Combiner Wars also gave us a Devastator, which again, we're getting a new one here soon with the Studio series. And well, he's a good Devastator for the most part, but the individual robots have some issues. I mean, a lot of them are like just not quite, looking right, or they are sacrificing a lot of their, modes for the combined mode. So, anyways, so here's the Leo Kaiser from Combiner Wars. But the only thing is they're not going with this didn't actually use the classic team here. So let me go to so let's see here. So instead of like the normal like team, we got a few sub ends. Like Desaurus is actually supposed to be Deathsaurus. So they kind of took out a few of the classic guys here. Let me click on so so we didn't have Leozak and I believe Skyhawk out of that. Or no, 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 never mind. Skyhawk. Well, needless to say, I'm failing here. But anyways, so they didn't quite, get all of the, six in there, even though they do have six here. One of them's just kind of an arms micron little mini con weapon that they added in, which they did a couple times, adding a little extra dude onto the sets because like Computron, you got a bunch of you have like the normal team, and then Scrounge was kind of like add-in, a Legends add-in that they could, plug onto their shoulder somewhere. So, and like here I am, here's the online, so like the collector packs. Superion got a G2 deco and the like red and blues. Menasor got a G2 deco. Bruticus got a G2 deco. One of those two didn't actually come out in G2 originally. It was always just kind of there. But anyways, then at the time, BotCon even had their own combiner set. They did a Beast Wars kind of themed one with the characters from the Tripredacus Council, and then we had Ravage and Tarantulas. Now they weren't beast modes; they were all kind of like, let's actually see if we can, yeah. So a lot they were basically just redecos with a little remolding of all the different Combiner Wars characters. Tarantulas here was a Rook repaint. Ravage is one of the cars. The and I can't remember which one's which on the Tripredacus here, but that one's kind of one of the Computron ones done. This one I believe looks like the Silverbolt mold, and then we had another one of the aerial bot molds over here. And aerial bot gun, looks like they were using the same combiner war feet gun things. So all right, and then there was even more that they did. I don't remember if Air Razor and the others were they combiner compatible. Come on, load in, load in. No, okay, so she wasn't combiner compatible. She was using a different mold, so not all of them in that year got to be combiner pieces. So it's considered part of the Combiner Wars set in this page because it was that year in BotCon. So, actually, let's go off here, see if I can actually show one of the other. So, Blast Off. So, Blast Off, when they were doing the Combaticons, normally is a space shuttle, but this is what we got in retail. And as you can see, it's just a, you know, another one of the aerial bots redone. Pretty much, just in Decepticon colors. So kind of lame, but that's how they got the line out with minimal, you know. But later on, they did, give us the space shuttle as a, exclusive here. So also with a nice little, so this was later on when they were doing the Power of the Primes too. So he came with a nice little translucent red plastic Megatronus spark. Sadly, and actually, how about we get into so the Prime Wars went a year with Titan's Return and did something else with the, figures other than, combiners. So Titan's Return was all headmasters and, yeah, pretty much headmasters for everything other than the legend. So let's skip ahead 2 years to Power of the Primes. And Power of the Primes went back to the leader, everything, the Voyager and the Deluxe combiner pattern for the toys for the most part. So let's get to the toy line here. So the Prime Masters with the Prime Sparks, the Legends. Now here's where we had some fun. So look, the one classic G1 combiner they ended up doing was Abominus with the Terrorcons. So again, up on the shelf. I'd show them otherwise. So let's go back here, and so we'll get one of the ones I do have handy, even though I don't have have them quite completed in combiners, full team here. Here, let me go ahead and get back to. Here is Power of the Prime Starscream. Nice little crown in his combiner mode and everything. So here I have the first Combiner Wars Blast Off attached to him. I have an extra Brawl and one. So turn that around so it's actually facing. They did a Wreck-Gar out of the Groove mold eventually. So that was kind of fun. Ended up buying two of both. I bought two of Wreck-Gar and Brawl just to have extra pieces for some, combiners here. But they weren't the only ones that, came out. So giving Starscream a nice combiner mode was a fun touch with the crown and everything. Let's bring up one that wasn't actually able to be completed in the full line, since a couple of the pieces were exclusives. But here we have actually the same mold as Starscream, but so this is Alita 1 and the female Autobot team's combined mode of Orthia. I will say that I've taken some of the stickers off of this. I did not like all the stickering they did on these during Power of the Primes. So anyways, the downside of Orthia, we had one nice, Voyager with, a jet version of Alita 1, and then pretty much every single other female Autobot is the same vehicle. It's the same Cybertronian car on all four of them, and it's just kind of sad that way. And the foot fell off again. But we also got a few different changes for the combiners during Power of the Primes. So right here, each of the Voyagers came with a little enigma of combinations, you know, thing to plug into their chest there, showing that, they were, part of the combiners and everything. And then even the let me show you when you was falling off here. The Voyagers each came with two actual dedicated feet this time. And they even have port, sorry, ports in the middle here that you can plug in like, well, you could do the Enigma, you could do a Titan Master from the Titan's Return line, or you could plug in one of the Prime Masters from the Power of the Primes, line, like so. And there we have her foot empowered by Liege Maximo, I guess. Not my first choice to empower her with. In fact, let me show you who I do have plugged in at the moment. It had to have Solus Prime plugged in there. So the deluxes each had like a little new hand armor thing that they could do, and each of those had like another place to insert a Prime Spark. So if you really want to, these combiners could be empowered by the power of, let's see, 1, 2, 4, 5, and the other thing is like each of the hands from the deluxes also plugged into the back of the feet to give them a better heel. If I can get it in there. Oh, doing things on screen, bad idea. Oof. Okay, well, let's not do that. But anyways, they would plug into the back there, so that would give you another two ports to put a Prime Spark in. So you could essentially have a combiner empowered by half the primes. Oh, goodness. Do I have anyone else nearby? I think that's all I got. Okay. Oh, so anyways, so I love these, combiner styles. They, the downside was having most of them being kind of the same toy over and over again, just repainted or redecoed or, remolded. But eventually, you had like a gigantic team of combiners or mix and match scramble city types within like just 3 years. And in that same time, we're only going to be really approaching like, what? We got Menasor out, we have Superion coming, we have Bruticus coming, and then Devastator. So, and with the way they combine in the newer, I mean, Devastator is kind of its own thing again, having the 6 bots to work with instead of the normal 5 scramble city types. So the way the new ones combine with the commander class, instead of the Voyager having like the extra like frame for the combiner, and then just having the deluxes plug on to the frame, I don't care for it. I know it looks more cartoon accurate. It just doesn't look good to me. I'd rather have like the pieces of the combiners, all kind of like forming the hands and legs without just plugging on and just looking like they're hanging off of the combiner. So that's my personal thing there. Ah, well, I've been rambling on for a bit. It's been a little bit over a half hour. Thank you for listening and have a good night.